to Saxthorpe Farms and we need to get the straw baled. I also have the Fendt combine running, doing an oat harvesting contract, so we're getting even more oats into the silo. I think, as we're going to get an excess of oats, plus we've got our own, I think I'm going to try and find some land to stick the grain drying shed on, because that means we can make even more money and we could actually get the oats sold this month probably, because they come with a good price in July. So that seems like a really good idea to me. We've actually got the cash to put it down now. So yeah, I might have a look at that. It occurred to me because I've just finished doing the quick mod preview, or spotlight, not preview because it's released now. So yeah, I think we're going to stick that in. I've had it installed in the save for a while, so just haven't had an opportunity to use it. But I actually think that spot of land in the corner of field 8 that I was thinking of putting sheeps into, we might put a grain dryer in there, because I don't think I've got room in the yard. So I kind of like that idea, and grain dryers don't have to be fed every day, so that's a cool as well. Yeah, so kind of progressing. I suspect that next time we'll be jumping ahead to August. I do have a bunch of harvesting contracts to do on here, but I think I'm just going to finish doing them in the background, and maybe just put some clips in of them in the next video, just so we can keep this series moving on, and make some progress. Although we do not need to do anything to this field, so yeah, I think that's probably what I'm going to do. So I'm keen to keep making progress basically on here. I'm running Loki's realistic cab view mod, so I'm just turning around just to check. It feels like I am sat far too high in the ceiling, or I am significantly taller than I'm used to being. So yeah, I don't know if any of you run that mod as well, and I've kind of noticed it on most of my saves. It feels like I'm sat too high. I don't run the realistic cab view on all of them, so I'm not sure if that's a me thing or not. I know I could go in and mod all of the tractors to move the first-person view camera, but I don't fancy doing that, so yeah. Might have to have a look at Loki's mod and see if I can just mod the camera position in that. I don't know how that works. I could chat to Loki, because, you know, that's another option, I guess. So yesterday we took the teenager to university. It's a long day, pretty emotional day. But I'm not going to talk about any of that. I'm going to talk about the fact that they have cows at the university. So there is a farm, kind of, I don't know if it's attached to the university, but it's kind of in the university grounds. And as we drove in, I saw some cows, which I thought was really cool. And also on the way back, because we came back a slightly different route because it was rush hour, and we drove past the JCB factories. So the on the I think A50, which was kind of cool. Quite a few low loaders running about with different JCB kit on the back. Most of it more of the kind of industrial rather than agricultural. But yeah, it was kind of fun. Well, not really, but you know, it was kind of a nice bonus to drive past that. So I realised that the Flegel has auto load built in, so I'm going to use that to pick up the bales, because the other 7 series is carting. You can see the 7250 is carting for the Fendt, and I didn't want to stick the bale trailer on the Agrostar, so truck it is. And it's quite nice because it holds quite a lot, so yeah, kind of like it. It's also quite nice because it's got very low center of gravity because it's a low loader, so it's pretty stable actually. Particularly as I haven't modded it to stack a silly number of bales on it, so yeah, which I have done. I did a lot on Attingham when I was using auto load. I quite often increased it to like a 5 bale height stack, which gets quite unstable. you know, just going to clear the headland off before I do the up down row, so I'm not kind of weaving between bales all the time. I kind of like to do this if I'm using auto load, definitely. I like to do this because it's a pretty quick job and it just makes the rest of the job so much easier. The plan is to keep the bales for now. That's either so that we can get the best price, or maybe when we get animals. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at what point we're going to get animals on here, so I'm not going to rush to sell the straw. We're going to make most of our money on the crops anyway, so yeah. At this point, I think at this point anyway, I am running the bushel plus mod. I've put a bushel plus on the back of the fence, so we are getting the extra yield off of the contract field. But yeah, I mean, that's really, if we're going to put grain dryer in, that's really good because the bonus yield is basically more crop that we get to keep. So because the amount you need to deliver doesn't change, so yeah, that seems like a bit of a winner to me. And I'm pretty sure that that corner of field 8 that we own, we could put them in. If not, we could put it in. If not, we could just borrow a bit of cash to get the grain dryer up and running, because it's very quickly going to pay for itself. Oats aren't quite as profitable as wheat and barley going through the dryer, but they are pretty profitable. You know, you still get a nice bit extra. I think probably one harvest will pay to put the dryer in. We're going to get excess crops off of everything that we harvest. If we go and do harvests on the oats, I'm going to bring back the excess crop, so I am going to need to get a big-ish grain transport trailer if we're doing that, so that we can bring them back. So we'll get something to stick on the back of the truck, which I have spoken about. So I think what I spoke about was getting a grain trailer for the truck and an auger for the tractor to feed the combine. So that will work really well as well for bringing crops back, because it's not a long drive between the two, particularly for something like this. So that seems a pretty good idea to me. And again, it will increase the money we can make without being, you know, without relying on cheaty stuff. So I'm still doing the work. I'm just doing the work for a different farmer on a slightly extended map. I guess it makes it a 4 1/4 X map, something like that. If we combine a 4X and a 2X, I think that becomes a 4 and a, I don't know. It's a 4x4 plus a quarter of a 4x4. Yeah. Someone else can do that. My brain's pretty pickled from an incredibly long day yesterday. I said we did. I think it was about 8 hours driving in the end. And then we spent about 4 hours helping unpack and some shopping and all that kind of stuff. So that shit was really cool. The university coped really well with people who have neurodivergent stuff, and so a teenager was able to go up a couple of days earlier. We didn't have a time limit, so if you go on the normal drop-off day, you have a half-an-hour time limit to get them dropped off and get off site, because obviously a lot of people on campus. So yeah, it was kind of cool that we had a lot more time, could do things at her pace, and she's got a couple of days to get settled in before lots of people turn up. So yeah. I did reset the bale counter on the baler before I started doing this, so that will give us a count. And yeah, I can check the game menu, but that assumes that I don't stop in process of actually doing the job, which quite often I will do. You know, quite often when I'm playing like this, you know, I'll save the game, I'll go off, do something, come back, whatever. So quite often that's not accurate for me. What I did have a really good tip, and that it kind of only works if you if the bales you're creating are unique at that point, whether it's size, I guess, or I'm not sure about size, but certainly fill type. You can use time-saving stock check. It will tell you how many litres you have, and then you can just work it out from bale capacity. Or you'll just know how many litres you have, which is probably more important than how many bales you have. So, yeah. We're getting a decent number off of this field, so I am pretty pleased about that. And neighbour's dog is barking. That's quite loud. I guess they've left it in the garden. We have a lot of people around here who just leave their dogs out in the garden for what seems like big chunks of the day, which is kind of annoying. As a dog owner, we don't do that. You know? Yeah. If the dog's being noisy, we go tell it to not be, or we bring it in the house. So, yeah. One of the other things I'm thinking about on here, and I might be showing my... What am I checking here? I'm not sure. I think I was looking to see if I had a mulcher, which I don't. So I probably will mulch this field because we aren't in a rush. Yeah, one of the other things that I was thinking about, and I haven't been to the BGA on this map, so there might be one, is putting in a digestate buy point at the BGA so we can use digestate to fertilise our fields. We don't actually have anything to put through the BGA at the moment, so that might be cool. I also just spotted and downloaded a small slurry buy point, and the other thing that I was thinking is we could put that up at the cow farm before we own it, and we could do that kind of like I did on oh jeez, Ohio. I got there eventually where I put in the slurry buy point at the cow farm on Ohio, and I could go and buy slurry from them, which I think seems kind of a sensible way of doing it. I'm really battling the idea of actually just fertilizing fields completely with bought fertilizer, you know, or inorganic fertilizer. It just kind of hurts my brain. I'm so used to having animals on every save that, yeah, I'm thinking of doing that. It'll give us an option to get some nutrients into the field that aren't chemical-based fertilizer. One more row to go. We'll then finish getting all these collected up and get them in the shed. I'm not sure what field's going to be next to harvest. I'm not even sure if in August we'll have a field ready to harvest. So we will see if you know what there is to do in August. If there's no harvesting to do, I might start prepping this field. So we might get it mulched. Might look at doing some digestate on there. And whether it's worth putting in some OSR, just it gives us a bit of nitrogen. Or we just leave it. So we will see. And I'm back. And I've completely lost my train of thought there. So I think I was talking about maybe starting to prep this field. So yeah, well, we'll see what there is to do in August. But that is all of the bales done. Hopefully, I'm going to show the bale counter at some point. I think, yeah, we're going to use auto drive to send the Deutz back. I'm still, I think I'm still using my auto drive network on here, which is holding up, which is kind of cool. Okay, let's go grab the rest of these bales. Obviously didn't show the bale counter on the baler. Maybe we'll show it in the in-game menu. We can see, yeah, no nitrogen left in the field. I missed what the pH was saying, but yeah, we'll do that as well. Maybe, you know. I do think I want to try and maximise the yield off of all of the fields, so I am going to look at if I can pick up a mulcher for not very much, because that would kind of help. The gains are all really small, and normally I don't do them because the gains are really small, but with the volume of arable farming we're doing on here, and because it's about selling those crops rather than using them for other things, I think it's worth doing. Yep. Look at me slowing down to go around corners. Who knew you could do that? I've been browsing game releases, and I've never played any of the Forza series, but there's a new Forza Motorsport coming soon. I am very tempted. So I used to play a lot of Gran Turismo, and I kind of miss that a little bit. And I'm just curious as to whether, if any of you guys have played any of the Forza Motorsport, not Forza Horizon, it's Forza Motorsport, how that kind of compares to something like Gran Turismo. So, yeah, let me know. let me know. And yes, I know I crash a lot when I'm playing Farm Sim, because it doesn't matter. Yeah, let's get these dropped off. There's a couple left which we'll go grab, and then we're going to have to kind of tidy a few things up in the shed, because somehow some of the bales have moved. No, I didn't hit them with anything. It's one of those Farm Sim things. It also seems like I sold the front loader, I guess because I didn't really need it, or I accidentally deleted it at some point, which is also entirely possible, because I'm doing where I'm moving vehicles to between maps, and I do actually move them each time because it means that things like the hours and the wear stay the same. It's entirely possible that when I was in the vehicles.xml file, I accidentally deleted it rather than having sold it, but we'll see. I don't know. Either way, we will. We brought a new one. I brought a new one. I would say cash is not a problem, but actually we're pretty low on cash now, having just spent over £500,000 on a combine, which seems ridiculous to do. But it's going to earn its money back, so it's kind of okay. And we're going to get the other two combines running in a bit as well, so that we've got. I've started to see a couple of bales have fallen off. I'm not sure why. I've started to think of combining in terms of total header width, which may be a weird metric, but at the moment we're running 12 meters with Fendt. I think it's 12 meters, and we're going to go up to, it might be 13 actually, but we're going to almost double that with the two other combines, because we've got two 6-meter headers. So, you know, I'm going to put them in a separate field because there are quite a few oak contracts about. But yeah, we can double our speed of getting through contracts. So yeah, I had a new front loader delivered, and got the bale spikes dragged out of the back of the shed, and so that's the partial load that came off the field, and those are the two bales that seem to have somehow come off of this bale stack. So they could have come in and re-auto loaded them, because they could do with moving. I might end up moving them in the long term, but for now I'm just going to restack these, and then we'll put the other ones at the back of the shed. I still don't think I've actually shown you how many bales we've got. I don't remember, and I didn't make a note of it, which is kind of annoying. So we'll see how things look at some point. If not, you can see how many bales we've got. It's quite a few. I know, so scientific. I'm good like that. I like my science, so yeah. This kind of scuppers one of my plans, because I was thinking of putting the header in this big shed. But what I might do is this shed here, where we've been putting a lot of the trailers and storing the tractors. I might back the header into there, where I've been parking the two bigger tractors at the back, and then put the tractor somewhere else. They're easier to park than a combine header, and it means I don't have to go through that faff again of getting it in the slightly smaller shed. Although, to be fair, the better way of doing that would probably have been to back that into that shed rather than trying to drive through and then park it. None of you told me to do that, so it's one of those things, I think, where having done it once, you get a bit of hindsight into how to do things. So I don't know why I still enjoy bale handling a lot in FS22. And I know the bales are better to handle, which is a plus, but with how I'm playing on here, I could have just bunged a bale storage in, I guess, and dropped them in, and it'd been cool. Not that I've got space for a bale storage, but, let's quickly see if this great demand affects us. It does not, but 64,000 litres of oats going through the dryer is going to be very nice. Plus whatever we get excess off of all of the contracts. So what I did with the contracts was something that I mentioned recently in another video. I think it was in the Glenlathen video. Is once I'm running, because I think I've got 3 or 4 oat contracts active. I deliver some and then I switch to bringing them to the farm silo, and once I've done all of them, I'll deliver them. So and then we'll work out what the excess was, because I can go back and check the oat harvest video. But I think that's probably the better way of doing it, because that way you don't over deliver and you don't have contracts completing when you don't want them to. Rob did get back to me on, it was Rob who said about how to stop them auto completing, and you can go in before you reopen the game. If you go in and change, I think it's changing the contract state from 1 to 2, then it won't auto complete when you load. And if folks are interested, I might do a quick video on that, so let me know below in the comments section. So that's the baling done. Let's get into some more harvesting. So I'm going to, I did automate this, so we're going to do a double courseplay course, and we're going to have auto drive carting, and I've got 2 tractors over here that are going to do the carting, so that will hopefully speed things up. I think one of them is on the way still. I know that's the other combine that's on the way. So, yeah, what I found is that with 2 combines and 1 carter, and whether it's the way this is set up or not, and whether it would be more effective if I had the combine stop to unload, but once the carter gets under the auger, if the combine doesn't behave in a way that stops it unloading, it will keep going until the trailer's full, rather than stopping when the combine's empty and going and unloading the other combine. So yeah, that's kind of what why I switched to running them both. I don't know if it was any better, but it does allow for some, some flexibility. So get the header on and get this combine set up as well, and then yeah, I'll have these 2 run this field, and it should mean we can get through a lot more contracts while still playing our ×5 most of the time, to try and not get into the levels of doing all the contracts. Although somehow I managed to do all of the fertilizing contracts on the oaks, but that was all played at proper speed to keep us. The reason that I'm doing that is, I could, in theory, go to somewhere like the oaks, put the speed on ×1 or ×1/2, and just spend 3 days doing contracts solid, I mean real days, and make loads of money. And that doesn't feel in the spirit of how I play. So rather than having to make a judgment call, I play on a fixed speed. I say most of the time, if I'm faffing with something that's not directly related to progress, I will slow the time down so that doesn't affect everything else. Yeah. So, for example, I think when I was faffing getting the header out of the shed last time, I slowed the time down so that, I didn't lose half of the work day with me faffing or something that I really didn't need to do. Let's get auto drive set up. So I'm just checking the delivery point. I think they're all going to East Coast Grain Bay 2, I think. They actually had 2 of the contracts when I started it were going to the grain mill, and because I'm running the old version of the map, you can't deliver to that on contracts, I don't think. So I just went into I picked another contract, another oak contract that wasn't going there, made a note of the contract number and the sell point, or made a note of the contract number, went into the missions.xml, found which sell point number that was delivering to, changed the other 2 to the same. So just made things a little bit easier. It meant I could do the contracts that otherwise I wouldn't be able to. So yeah. I'm not sure what I'm doing here, to be honest. I think I set auto drive and it started to drive around the whole field rather than just going to the waypoint, which was a bit annoying. I think it does it again. And actually, I think I realised afterwards that it was trying to get itself set up for Combine 1. But I didn't realise that at the time. I thought it was just trying to do a lap of the field, so I drove it back and put it in front of the waypoint so that it could just pull forwards to the waypoint. And we will see in a moment that that's not what it does. Not. No. See, off it goes. And it says driving to destination, which is F18 weight, which it was next to. Anyway, I jumped in the 7250 to unload the Fendt, and not just sit watching everything run on automation. And the Fendt is nearly done. It's made pretty short work of this, what is a pretty big field. So, and most of this was done on its own, on automatic, with no issues, which is really nice. So you can see we're making progress on the other harvest as well, and that's a full trailer. So I had the reason I was using what's essentially a silage trailer is it could hold a couple of hoppers worth, so it was having to do the run less often. There we go. We'll just get this unloaded and we'll call it a day. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this trip to Saxthorpe. We'll be back next week. I'm still trying to run with my new schedule, although it's looking sketchy for the start of the week because of the busy week this week. So we'll see. You just see the moon coming up there. That's really nice. I think that's the first time I've noticed that in game. I don't know if that's specific to the map or not. We can see the two Deutzes running over there on the other field as well, or we caught a glimpse of one anyway. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, click the like button. We do not smash like buttons here. If you smash it and break it, you have to buy me a coffee. Any comments, questions, suggestions, or whatever, stick them below. Do you think using the grain dryer is a good idea? Now, we've had a pretty dry harvest, but you know, I think that would be a bit of fun, make us a bit more money. And yeah, if you're new to the channel and you've watched 27.5 minutes of me rambling away, maybe you should think about subscribing. And also thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. See ya.